Hello and welcome to Fast and Factual. My name is Utsaf Parekh and I'll take you through the top 50 stories of the day. We begin with updates from the Israel-Hamas war. Another Israeli airstrike rocked the Jabalia refugee camp in Gaza on Wednesday. It was the second attack on Gaza's largest refugee camp within a day. Hamas says that the strikes have killed several of the hostages it took during the October 7th attack. It wasn't immediately clear how many casualties came because of the second strike. Hamas has published a new video. The video claims to show anti-armor shells being fired at Israeli tanks and vehicles in Gaza. Meanwhile, the Israeli military said its forces had struck about 300 targets over the past day. This included anti-tank missile and rocket launch posts and underground Hamas military compounds. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that Israel's war in Gaza would be long but victorious. He said this in a recorded statement on Wednesday. Netanyahu also mourned the mounting losses faced by Israeli forces. The Israeli military has said that so far 9 soldiers have died in the Gaza ground offensive. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant met with commanders at the border with Gaza on Wednesday. Gallant said he was impressed with the military's operations, calling them decisive and strong. He also appreciated that the operations were conducted on ground, air and sea. The Israeli military deployed missile boats in the Red Sea yesterday. This was after the Iran-aligned Houthi movement in Yemen said it launched attacks on Israel and vowed to carry out more. On Tuesday, the Houthi movement said that they had launched 3 drone and missile attacks towards Israel. They say this was to, quote-unquote, help the Palestinians to victory. Iran's foreign minister has again warned Israel of harsh consequences if attacks continue on the Gaza Strip. The minister said that a decisive and significant decision would be made if the attacks do not stop. Iran has repeatedly said that it supports Hamas, but that it did not play a role in last month's attack on Israel. After intense negotiations with Israel and the UN, Egypt opened the Rafa border gate on Wednesday. It allowed the first group of foreign passport holders and wounded people to leave the besieged Gaza Strip. Rafa is the only border crossing into Gaza that is not controlled by Israel. It was closed on October 7th following the attack by Hamas. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will travel to Israel and Jordan tomorrow. The U.S. State Department announced this during a press briefing. A spokesperson added that Blinken will meet with officials including Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Blinken will be there to reiterate America's support for Israel and discuss Israel's military objectives. Saudi Arabia's Defense Minister Prince Khalid bin Salman met with U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd on Wednesday. They predominantly spoke about the Israel-Hamas war. The White House has also said that Prince Khalid and U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan spoke earlier in the week. They affirmed the importance of deterring an expansion of the Israel-Hamas war. Pope Francis has endorsed a two-state solution between Israelis and Palestinians. The pontiff said this was needed to put an end to wars between the two sides. Meanwhile, he also said that he was concerned about the rise in anti-Semitism globally. In other world news, more than 9,900 civilians have been killed since the war in Ukraine began last year. This is according to the UN's Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. This means that almost 16 civilians were killed every day since the conflict broke out. The UN Refugee Agency has warned Pakistan against the planned expulsion of more than 1 million undocumented foreign nationals. The UNHCR says that this will likely trigger a human rights catastrophe. On Wednesday, police officials started dismantling mud houses in an Afghan colony on the outskirts of Islamabad. Pakistan said November 1st as the deadline for the expulsion of all undocumented immigrants. The Chinese Foreign Ministry has said that it respects North Korea's decision to close its consulate in Hong Kong. This was after reports that North Korea is poised to close as many as a dozen embassies. These include North Korea's missions in Spain and multiple countries in Africa. The move could see nearly 25% of Pyongyang's missions close worldwide. In climate news, China's capital Beijing has been engulfed by heavy smog. The smog prompted authorities to issue danger warnings across the city. The visibility could also drop to less than 50 meters. The situation is a result of weak, cold air currents from the North Pole. Heavy trucking, industrial activities and crop burning also contribute to the smog. Meanwhile, some scientists say that China's fight against air pollution has worsened global warming. Dramatic cuts in sulfur dioxide from China's vehicles and factories over the last decade have impacted the globe. Sulfur dioxide works as a major coolant of the atmosphere. So, China's battle to improve air quality is inadvertently heating the planet. Studies suggest that Indians are at risk of type 2 diabetes as a result of air pollution. Inhaling polluted air can reportedly cause high blood sugar levels. The report is part of an ongoing chronic disease study. Aerial footage captured ongoing wildfires in the Australian state of Queensland. Helicopters have been deployed to fight the flames. Evacuation orders have also been issued to Queensland residents. Storm Karin has brought strong winds and heavy rains to southwestern England. High waves breached seafront walls in the Cornwall region. Some areas faced wind speeds of over 135 kilometers per hour. The storm is expected to cross the UK's southern half today. An international conference has been announced for Libya's flood-ravaged city of Derna. The conference marks a crucial step towards the coastal city's reconstruction. Over 400 participants, including international delegates and infrastructure experts, will gather for this effort. 2 dams collapsed in Derna in September, causing extensive damage. Death toll estimates range from 4,000 to over 11,000. Pope Francis has confirmed his participation in the upcoming COP28 UN Climate Conference. The climate conference is scheduled to begin in Dubai on November 30th. This marks the first time a pope will attend a UN environmental meeting. Now on to business and tech news. The US Federal Reserve held interest rates steady in its November meeting on Wednesday. However, policymakers have left the door open to further rate increases. Meanwhile, the Federal Reserve's chair, Jerome Powell, has said that the US economic activity has been expanding at a strong pace. Wells Fargo is being investigated by the U.S. markets regulator. The Securities and Exchange Commission is probing the bank over its cash sweep options for investment advisory clients. The sweep feature allows clients to earn a return on uninvested cash balances in their account. This adds to the several other investigations Wells Fargo already faces. They include scandals over its sales practices and hiring policies. Delta Airlines has said that it's cutting some corporate jobs. This is to better manage costs and amid higher fuel and labor expenses. Delta did not specify how many jobs it's terminating. However, it said that the layoffs will not affect frontline workers like pilots or flight attendants. Toyota has said it'll raise the wages of non-union U.S. factory workers. Hourly manufacturing workers at top pay will receive a wage hike of about 9% from January next year. The automaker will also increase paid time off for the employees. This comes just days after America's United Auto Workers Union won major pay hikes and benefits. They had been striking against the firms known as the Detroit Three automakers. They are Ford, General Motors and Stellantis. Meanwhile, Toyota has said that it's recalling 1.85 million SUVs in the United States. The recall covers its RAV4 SUV models manufactured between 2013 and 2018. This is over fire risks stemming from the installation of replacement batteries. Walt Disney has formally begun the process of buying the remaining 33% stake in streaming platform Hulu. It's presently held by NBC Universal's parent company Comcast. Disney will pay Comcast about $8.61 billion for the purchase. With the latest deal, Disney will gain full ownership of Hulu. India has authorized 110 firms to import laptops, tablets and personal computers. This includes companies like Apple, Dell, HP, Samsung and Lenovo. The authorization comes under India's new import management system aimed at monitoring shipments. Last month, India announced the new system after rolling back an earlier plan to impose a licensing regime on tech companies. Apple has lost a bid to block a lawsuit in London. The lawsuit accuses the company of hiding defective batteries in millions of iPhones. Apple has been accused of concealing issues with the batteries in certain iPhone models. The plaintiff is seeking damages of up to $2 billion from the tech giant. Europe's data regulator has agreed to extend a ban imposed by Norway on Facebook and Instagram. Earlier this year, Norway banned the practice of behavioral advertising used by these social media companies. Behavioral advertising uses data harvested from users to target them with ads. The extension of the Norwegian ban will restrict the social media firms from behavioral advertising in all EU countries. Elon Musk has proposed the establishment of a quote-unquote third-party referee. This is to oversee companies developing artificial intelligence. His comments came after Britain published a declaration signed by 28 countries and the European Union. The declaration focused on identifying AI-related concerns and formulating policies to mitigate them. Moving to sports, let's begin with updates from the Cricket World Cup. South Africa beat New Zealand by 190 runs in yesterday's match. The Proteas batted first and scored 357 runs for the loss of 4 wickets. Quinton de Kock and Rassie van der Dusen both scored centuries for South Africa. New Zealand got off to a worrying start as South African pacers made the ball swing. But it was spinner Keshav Maharaj who caused New Zealand's batting order to collapse. Maharaj took 4 wickets in his spell of 9 overs. South African batter Quinton de Kock scored his 4th century in this year's ODI World Cup. He has become the first South African to score 500 runs in any World Cup format. He now leads the list of top scorers at this year's tournament with 545 runs. Quinton de Kock is followed by New Zealand's Rachin Ravindra, who has scored 415 runs in this World Cup. India have confirmed that their all-rounder Hardik Pandya is yet to recover from his ankle injury. Pandya has been ruled out of India's match against Sri Lanka today. Batter Surya Kumar Yadav will continue to start in place of Hardik Pandya for the Indian team. Australian all-rounder Mitchell Marsh has returned home for personal reasons. He's been ruled out of Australia's World Cup campaign indefinitely. Marsh is going to be replaced by Marcus Stoinis for Australia's upcoming matches. In football, Newcastle United beat Manchester United 3-0 in the English Football League Cup. The match was played at Old Trafford last night. Miguel Almiron, Lewis Hall and Joe Willock scored for Newcastle, Man United, who were the defending champions, have now been knocked out of the tournament. West Ham United beat Arsenal 3-1 in yesterday's EFL Cup match. Arsenal had a bad start after an own goal from centre-back Ben White. Mohamed Kudus and Jared Bowen scored a goal each in the second half for West Ham, taking the score to 3-0. Martin Odegaard then scored a consolation for Arsenal 6 minutes into second half injury time. With the loss, Arsenal have also been knocked out of the League Cup. In Germany, Bundesliga giants Bayern Munich were handed a 2-1 defeat by third-tier club Saarbrücken in the German League Cup. Thomas Müller gave Bayern an early lead in the 16th minute, but Patrick Sontheimer and Marcel Goss scored for Saarbrücken to secure the victory. Bayern Munich have now been knocked out of the German Cup, the DFB Pokal. In tennis, world number 1 Novak Djokovic advanced to the round of 16 at the Paris Masters. Serbia's Djokovic beat Argentina's Thomas Martin Echeverry 6-3, 6-2 in straight sets. The match lasted just 1 hour and 20 minutes. Djokovic will next play against Talon Griekspoor from the Netherlands tomorrow. World number 2 Iga Świątek beat third-ranked Coco Gauff in the group stage at the WTA Finals. The tennis tournament is being played in the Mexican city of Cancun. Poland's Świątek overwhelmed America's Gauff 6-0, 7-5 in straight sets. The two players have now faced each other 10 times, with Świątek winning 9 of the encounters. Golf legend Tiger Woods has started his own league with Scottish pro golfer Rory McIlroy. The tournament has been named TGL, which is short for Team-Based Golf League. TGL will be launched in January next year and will be played on a course of 15 holes instead of 18. Woods and McIlroy say that their new league will incorporate technology like shot simulators, which will revolutionize the sport. In entertainment news, the Hollywood Actors Union and studios have been actively engaged in negotiations to reach a mutual agreement. The Actors Union has put forth a counter-proposal concerning artificial intelligence matters to the studios. Reports indicate that significant strides have been taken to bridge the divide between the two parties. Both groups are working to try and end the actors' strike, which has been on since July. Actor Robert De Niro accused ex-assistant Graham Chase Robinson of stealing 5 million airline miles. He claims that she is yet to return them and he didn't authorize it. De Niro gave the statement during an ongoing gender discrimination trial against him. His former assistant Robinson accused him of sexist comments and behavior. De Niro is being sued for $12 million in damages. The University of California in Berkeley has announced a course on singer Taylor Swift. The course has been titled Artistry and Entrepreneurship, Taylor's Version. The course will give students an insight on the singer's success as a songwriter, businesswoman, and creative influence. It'll be available for students from next year. HBO is being accused of using fake accounts on social media platform X, formerly Twitter, to undermine television critics. This comes amid an ongoing dispute with a former employee over wrongful termination. The former staff member has accused HBO of using a secret army to counter critics who didn't post favorable reviews. Singer Celine Dion has appeared in public after 3 years. She was spotted at an ice hockey game in Las Vegas yesterday. She even met some players after the match. Celine Dion has rarely been seen in public over the last few years. Last year, she announced that she had been diagnosed with a rare disorder called stiff person syndrome. Over 1 million copies of Britney Spears' memoir have already been sold. The memoir, titled The Woman in Me, released a week ago. Spears said in its statement that she's grateful for the support. A major chunk of the memoir revolves around conservatorship that gave her father the control over her life. Singer Usher is gearing up to perform at the Super Bowl halftime show next year. Usher said in an interview that his preparation started 30 years ago when he committed to music. Usher is also reportedly planning to do a global tour post the Super Bowl show. Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer will release in IMAX again. The film will run in theaters for at least a week. The locations include cities like New York and London. Oppenheimer has reportedly earned $946 million at the box office since its launch in July. Actor Alan Ruck has reportedly crashed his truck in a pizza parlor. The accident happened in the American city of Los Angeles. According to several reports, 4 other vehicles were also part of the collision. No one sustained any major injuries. Alan Ruck is known for his performances in movies like Cheaper by the Dozen and The Exorcist. Actor Selma Blair says she's ready to date again after multiple sclerosis diagnostic. Blair was diagnosed 5 years ago. Multiple sclerosis is when the immune system eats away at the protective covering of the nerves. Blair says that she's now in a great place with a great version of herself. Blair is known for her roles in movies like Cruel Intentions, Legally Blonde, and the Hellboy franchise. That's all for this episode of Fast and Factual. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to First Post.